Sean Sewell with Engearment.com. I have a comparison here for you between two very common, very requested Patagonia products. Over here we have the 2024 Patagonia Micro Puff, a incredibly warm and very lightweight synthetic down-like jacket. And over here you have a different category. We have the Patagonia Nano Air, a lightweight-ish jacket that is active insulation, has great stretch, and is great for use in cool to cold weather, high output activities. They're exactly the same price, $329, but they serve two different markets. Or do they? Let's get into it. First, we'll start with sizing. I am 6 foot, 215 pounds, 45-inch chest, 33-inch waist, 36, 37 on the arms. Usually I wear a men's extra large, and both these jackets are men's extra large. As you can see from my build, I have kind of a bigger upper back and shoulders, and a little bit rounded stomach. So I'm always trying to find something that looks good, fits well, and functions great. Both of these do that. Now the Nano Air has the most generous of the fit. Again, this is a men's extra large. The Nano Air has a regular fit. This one is from earlier last year, so we will see how it stacks up to the Micro Puff. As you can see, it is a generous fit. They say regular will accommodate a lot of people. You can cinch down on the hem, so you can definitely dial it in if you are a trimmer. But here it is. This is the Nano Air regular. It has 60 grams of their proprietary Fullrange insulation. What that is, it's a panel of insulation as opposed to clusters that you'll see in the Micro Puff. The panels play nicely, they map onto your body, they're always the same thickness, so you don't have to worry about things clumping in one area, and they stretch with you. There's no restrictions in range of motion, and the material is very, very quiet. They call it shadow stretch. It's a 30 denier, so it's very robust. I have had Nano Airs for well over a decade, still going strong. The only areas I get wear in is usually in the cuffs right there, which is pretty common in most jackets, and also I may need to wash this jacket sooner or later. I've got little stains right here. This is the Nano Air. The hood is generous, coverage is good, it's great for you climbers. Yeah, it's a very comfortable jacket. $329 usually, does go on sale. There are different versions of the Nano Air that I prefer more than Nano Air, and I'll tease you with that real quick. The Nano Air Hybrid. This one is only $299, and it has 40 grams of that Fullrange insulation, but then it features the R1 Air. And this is going to be good for people who are doing very high output activities in cool to cold weather. How I use it is for hiking in the shoulder seasons, the fall and spring. In the winter, I use it for splitboarding. This is my go-to jacket. It plays very well with the backpack. The R1 Air, the zigzag pattern, hits the backpack and the back panel really, really efficiently, dumps heat very well, but you still get 40 grams of insulation up front to keep you warmish. Definitely not for standing still, but it is great for active pursuits. But for standing still, and you want lightweight, and you want to stay warm, well, that's where the Micro Puff comes in. This guy is lighter weight than the Nano Air and the Nano Air Hybrid. He's only 12 ounces. It's very, very lightweight. Ultralight category for sure, whereas the Nano Air is 16 ounces, just 4 ounces more, but this is meant to keep you warm when, I would say honestly, when you're active, as well as static. So the job of this insulation is to act like down. It's probably the closest to a synthetic down that feels like down that I've ever seen. All the companies have a synthetic down, they brag about it, and they show us stats and specs and stuff, but in the real world, the Plumafill, Patagonia's version of their synthetic down, is probably the best we've ever tested. I would say it's equivalent to like a 700, maybe 750, maybe somebody could prove it to 800, maybe somebody could prove it to 650, I don't know. Let's just go with 700 across the board. That's pretty damn efficient for down, right? But it's synthetic, so it'll work when it's wet. Not that you should go seeking to get wet in insulation, it's still gonna bog you down, but you don't have to worry about wetting out, and it will dry quicker than down. This year, the Patagonia Micro Puff features a new material. It is a Pertex Quantumn with NetPlus. Now, previous years they did use Pertex Quantumn. I have last year's jacket right here, and it is a Pertex Quantumn. And Pertex is a major manufacturer of materials used not just by Patagonia, but by other brands as well. Quantumn is one of their offerings. There's a Shield, which is a waterproof version, Quantumn, which is a very lightweight but robust material, and there's other variations of materials in their lineup. However, this year they've teamed up with NetPlus, which is a story inside of the story, really. NetPlus is a really cool company, kind of co-funded by Patagonia many years ago, where they take fishing nets from the ocean and repurpose them into insulation and materials. In this case right here, the Pertex Quantumn features materials from NetPlus to make the Pertex Quantumn. So it's recycled materials, taking fishing nets out of the ocean and turning it into a jacket that potentially a person could go on a fishing boat and go fishing with, which is kind of unique to think about. Anywho, it's 10 denier, which is ultra light compared to the 30 denier for the Nano Air and Nano Air Light jackets. So you get way lighter material, and then you get the insulation. There's about the same amount. There's 65 grams of the Plumafill down-like insulation compared to 60 grams of the Fullrange active insulation in the Nano Air. However, this 65 grams of down-like insulation is designed to keep you warm when being static. So this jacket is, I'm cooking right now in this office. It is 68 degrees in this room, and this is way too hot for me right now. And that's the goal of the jacket. Whereas the Nano Air, I could wear almost comfortably at this temperature because it just dumps heat so well. This jacket you could totally use in an active situation. I know a lot of people who do use this or use down jackets as a mid layer when they're out in the snow, skiing and snowboarding, especially in a resort setting. Some people even for backcountry skiing and splitboarding and snowshoeing and snowmobiling and other activities on the snow, maybe even running, fat biking, hiking, stuff like that. Your mileage may vary. I run warm very easily, so I opt for active insulation when I'm in cool to cold temperatures doing my set activities, splitboarding. The Micro Puff is fully featured though. This jacket, for being only 12 ounces for the men's extra large, has zippered hand pockets, absolutely. Has a great hood. Let's try the hood. Good coverage. On the inside, you get, you're gonna guess it, aren't you? Drop pockets. Love drop pockets. In the very first video I did for the very first version of the Micro Puff back in like 2017, the drop pockets I made very familiarized with people on YouTube, because I joked about being 2 tall boys per side or a couple of ham sandwiches. Well, now I've matured a little bit and I carry LaCroix's and my niece's sandwiches in drop pockets. So there they are, drop pockets. It's been a staple for the Micro Puff for years, drop pocket right there. I call this the Spidey Man version from a couple years ago. But yeah, the material is not as shiny as the very first couple of years. Thank goodness. I think the shiny days are behind us. I like the nice, more matte finish right here. It's a very attractive jacket. Elastic hem right here, although you can tighten it if you want to. So nice and sealed in warmth. Again, I'm cooking in this jacket. So compared to the Nano Air and the Nano Air Light, or bonus, the Micro Puff is going to be warmer for the weight. In fact, it's Patagonia's warmest jacket for weight. It's the lightest weight packable synthetic jacket they make. Of course, down for the weight will be a little bit warmer, but then there's potential drawbacks with down unless it's treated. And if it's treated, then you have to retreat it, unless it's this crazy new kind of down that I'm testing right now, but that's a whole nother story. Nano Air, $329. Micro Puff, $329. 16 ounces, 12 ounces, 60 grams of active insulation, 65 grams of down-like insulation. Awesome when you're moving, awesome when you're not moving, unless you run cold, then you can move around in it. So there's also a Macro Puff, not to throw too much at you. The Macro Puff has the same Plumafill insulation, just more of it. I've not tested this year's Macro Puff, but I have tested probably a half dozen Macro Puff, as I feel like Macro Puff Storms or Micro Puff Storms. Anyways, there's a whole lineup featuring the Plumafill. The Macro Puff is going to be warmer than the Micro Puff because it's going to have more insulation, but it's the same kind of insulation. Just to throw that on your radar. But primarily I just wanted to show you the Micro Puff versus Nano Air. Similarities, differences, sizing, fit, function, who it's for, who it's not for, and all that. If you found this helpful, and I truly hope you did, a thumbs up will be appreciated. If you want to see more content on winter gear, and I've got so much more to shoot, consider subscribing to our Engearment YouTube channel, a link right there. I'm Sean Sewell, the owner and director of Stoke for Engearment. Until next time, take care.